It's November 21st, 1993, and we're in Greenville, Ohio for the annual Peace Pipe Enduro hosted by the Treaty City Motorcycle Club. Even though it's a nice, warm, sunny day today, it's been raining all week, and this is expected to be a very difficult run. So, last week you didn't think you could even have this thing, huh?
No, that whole motocross track down there was underwater. All you could see is the top of the jumps. I never thought we'd be able to have it. It's pretty good shape.
Making a movie.
Yeah, I was out there a little bit earlier, and the fields look deceptively dry.
Do they? Yeah, you're right on the deceptively part, because they're not real dry, but they're pretty good riding.
We're waiting right on the edge. Hold it.
Everybody's in a hurry to get ready. The first bike leaves at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, shut it down. Now let off for a second. Is the reservoir gone down? Okay, let's do it some more. Hang on.
Take a look at this nice clean gear. It sure won't look like this at the end of the day.
Too small. You're size 10 and I wear 11s, but once I get my feet in them, I can go really fast, but shit, when they're cold and frozen like this, I can't even get my feet in them, so it's starting out rough.
Not all of them. Inside the clubhouse, most of the riders have already signed up. Here's some of the trophies they're giving out. This race is a time event, so key time is very important. With all the rain, we've got some last-minute route card changes, too.
We spent all day yesterday doing a lot of remarking, and we measured it all yesterday. It's very rideable. There's nothing really difficult or impossible. It will be a little difficult, I should say that. All I can say is you need to stop at all the stop signs. There might be sheriffs out there, and they will pull you over. Be careful when you come out of the woods. Some of the places we cross roads, you got to stop and look. We run a couple wheat fields along the edge. Try to keep one small trail. Don't make your own trail. Just keep one single track, or otherwise we'll lose it. And I should state, you should follow the route card and the arrows. If you don't and you cut, you might be crying the blues. It's a warning.
Start down here.
Starts down here.
With the riders meeting out of the way, there's just a few minutes left to get ready for the 1993 Peace Pipe Enduro. With me to describe the action is Kirk Sessions, who was one of the competitors that you'll see out here on the course.
Here's Tim Atkins fueling up and getting ready for an early start. Here's row 3 getting ready to start the Enduro with Gary Evans taking the outside line. And if we knew what was ahead of us, I don't think we'd all be lining up so cheerful to start the race.
So how do you think you're going to do today?
Pretty good. We'll try.
Yeah?
It'll be muddy. Greenville's always muddy.
Yeah, no kidding. And there the first riders are off.
And looks like Drew's getting ready to pull a wheelie and take the lead as the first rider into the course. There's Rick Lanning getting ready to start out in an Enduro, an old AA rider from back from the Terry Cunningham days. There I am, breaking in my new bike at the Greenville Enduro. What a way to go.
It'll be broken in by the time you get done with this one, Kirk.
Here's a course member directing people into a wood section. Or should I say swamp section.
Looks like even the easy spots are muddy today.
Yeah, and that water is cold. With over 5 inches of rain during the week, it had plenty of time to soak in those cold temperatures.
A little bit out of control.
Right.
Okay, this rider's coming into the section just before the big downhill that you'll see here in just a moment. Here they come through the woods. They're going to cross this log, and just about maybe 150 or 200 feet down the trail is the big downhill.
I believe that was Rodney Drew, one of the first riders off the line.
Here they come to down the hill. The hill itself wasn't too bad, but there's a nice water hole at the bottom.
I believe that was the biggest surprise of every rider, was seeing how deep that hole with all that water in was right off the bat, first couple miles into the race.
This is early enough into the event that we haven't had a chance to sort out the good riders from the also-rans.
Well, here I go, first water test on my new bike.
Looks nice and clean, Kirk.
It's time for a bath.
Yeah, not too bad. Some people just get into trouble right away.
I'd hate to see him tie his shoes in the morning. He probably ties them in knots.
Getting back to the hill here, we got a lot of spectators that are giving out good and not so good advice. That guy does a nice job over that log.
Well, this is what Enduros are all about. Coming to the famous bottleneck sections.
Now looks like we're getting a little traffic jam here, huh?
Yep, and like I said, that water is cold. There's really no alternate way around this water hole. There's logs and debris on both sides, so there's only just one line going in and 2 or 3 lines going out. And it looks like the one rider is making the one line pretty deep.
I don't know if you get through that way or not. There's some bombs down there. That guy's standing.
If the traffic jam, there's plenty of time to survey from up above to see if you can figure out the best line.
Right, bird's eye view. You don't get. There's Kirk Patel from KRW Cycles taking a water sample.
He's on your bike, isn't he? That's not a very nice way to treat
Well,
a
he
friend's
said he'd wash it
motorcycle.
for me, so I guess he's doing that.
Well, he kept his word on that.
And he's getting some assistance from the spectators on getting the bike out and up on the bank on the other side as that water hole gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah, each rider that goes through digs it out, usually a little bit deeper, but today a lot deeper.
A lot deeper. Sometimes it's an advantage being on an early minute. The mud holes aren't so deep, but we were on an early minute and they were already deep, and I just was glad I wasn't on a late number today. Unfortunately, being on an early number, you find where all the holes are first.
Yeah, the best way to go here is to stay to the left. But unless you stood there and watched for a while, that wouldn't be too obvious.
Sometimes in a run like this, it's better to be a little cautious and think about what you're going to do before you do it, before blasting through anything. You have to be in survival mode sometimes to make sure you're going to finish the event. Take your time where it doesn't pay to make any time, and then go from there. Spectators are definitely going to be having a good time today. The riders are moving through the mud hole pretty good right now, but all it takes is one rider to fall down and then things will start backing up again. Looks like riders are trying to save a lot of money at the car wash today. When you hit that cold water, all your muscles seem to clamp up, and it makes it very difficult to get back on your bike.
This rider's trying a different line. Try to go around the mud hole. Doesn't look real easy, but it's definitely possible to go that way.
Yep, that line definitely looks like it's the easier route.
If you can make the turn.
Right.
Well, he tried to make the turn, but now he has to go through the puddle.
Now riders are even questioning about even going down the hill.
Now, there's another rider down. Sometimes even being careful doesn't seem to do too much good, does it?
No, especially when you're lined up for the depths of doom there. Spectators are brave today, jumping in that water and helping the riders out.
Now, that's some real dedication.
Sure is. Tell you, being a rider, sometimes you don't know how glad we are to see spectators at times like that. Looks like he's gonna have a handful. That hill's steeper than it looks, and to walk your bike down like that.
Got a little nudge there.
Yeah.
Whoa, here goes one. When it's laying like that, it's pretty heavy to pick up, too.
Yeah. Yeah, once a bike waters out and draws in water into the engine, you almost have to take it up to the other side of the bank to get the water out.
Couldn't quite make that turn.
Nope, now he's committed. Well, that line's no good anymore.
Yeah, I'll bet he wishes he made that turn now. Now, there's a good way to get around there is get off of that groove early.
Right. When it's this muddy, your rear brakes just don't lock up your rear wheel at all.
Whoa.
I believe that's Robert Vollmeyer, senior A rider.
Well, that was kind of like a ballet or something, wasn't it?
Or a circus act.
I bet he feels pretty cool right now. Whoa, there's another one down. You have to keep your balance when you're in one of those ruts.
Yeah.
There's a human chain formed there. Now this guy takes a line and goes diagonally across that rut, which is a real good way to keep from getting caught in it and get around that corner.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the drink.
I'm glad I didn't break in my bike like he is.
I'd say he's watered out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's gonna have to pull out his spark plug and pump out the water, and possibly wring out his air cleaner, and hopefully it'll start after that. Here's a rider on the 26th minute getting coaching from the spectators.
And he doesn't quite make that turn either.
Well, he's pointed in the right way, though. At least he's...
That's right. That's if you're going to fall down, that wasn't too bad. Well, we're coming up on the bog now, Kirk.
Okay. This bog seems to be in the race every year, and as you can see, spectators know about it in advance.
Yeah, this is a great Greenville tradition. Waiting on that first bike to come through. They got the snow fence up. They don't want anybody taking any easy routes. Here comes our first riders.
And they are muddy. And as usual, it takes one rider to start digging out the trench, and then it makes it harder for the riders after them coming through. This rider's lucky, at least he's on the other side of the bank. Gets his bike up out on top there, and he'll have it made.
Now that area out there, you have to be very careful. It looks real easy, but if you get too far out there, it's extremely soft.
Right.
In fact, it's worse than this.
We've been known to...
There's a couple of them right now.
There I'm going, already missing a handguard off my bike, but make it through the bog. It's still running condition.
Didn't have to get off and push. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
There you can see some of that mud that Greenville's so famous for.
Yeah. Just seems to cling to the bike everywhere. Crossing the rut sometimes is a good way to get across, but then if the bank's 4 feet high at the other side, it's real difficult to maneuver in that mud. You can stick your foot down and pull your foot up and have your boot still stuck in the mud. Whenever you have to get off a bike and push or lift or pull out of a mud hole, it really takes more energy than riding an extra couple miles. It's that kind of work that tires out an enduro rider.
Well, this guy's got his work cut out for him. But he's got help. We've got a group with a rope here. That bike probably weighs an extra 50 pounds, wouldn't you say?
No doubt. Well, you tend to do a lot of crawling when it's muddy like this, and I don't think any of it's planned.
About how many miles out was this, Kirk?
I'd say it's only about 20 miles out, and with an 80 to 90 mile run, you have a lot to look forward to. It looks like Dan Ford drove all the way from Pennsylvania to get stuck in a bog. Having the proper tires on a day like today's best thing you can do to get through these. You'd like a nice open pattern, a good mud tire. Makes all the difference. There's a good loop out.
Yeah, but he got his bike over the top.
Sometimes you just throw it over the other bank. As long as it's on the other side, you're a lot happier than having to dig it out of a mud hole.
Like this.
Right.
Well, they rolled back the fence. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's fair. I think everyone should have to go through where everyone else has to go.
I think the guys that had to go through before they rolled back the fence are pretty upset. Mainly because they wish it had been rolled back when they went through.
That's right. That's how sticky that mud is. When it takes 4 or 5 people on a rope to pull a bike out, that mud really just is like super glue. Here's 23.1 miles out.
Yeah, that's a check.
Right. and they just flipped it over for the 33rd minute. So if a rider was on time, the riders on row 33 would be coming through the check.
We don't have to worry much about that today,
No,
though,
this is not a timekeeping event today. There's rider 21. He's about 12 minutes late. Most of the riders are not racing into the check. I think they're just trying to maintain their stamina to finish the event.
Some of these bikes, they had to wipe off the number plate with a rag so they could even see who they were scoring.
Right. It's a good idea to put clear packing tape over your number sometimes when it's wet or muddy, so the number doesn't get washed off.
39.
Looks like the people running the check are doing a good job today.
How you think you're doing? You made it this far, I'd say you're doing okay. And here they come out of yet another wood section.
This is typical of a wood section. You would see all this water, and it was deep. It was really surprising how many logs and branches and holes there were underneath that water. If your bike wasn't waterproof, I don't think you finished today.
Probably didn't get this far.
Nope. Lots of standing water in the wood sections today.
Pretty much finishes me up.
Y'all can go the rest of the way?
Hell, man. Not after all wet.
Here's one of the creek crossings. We crossed this creek 3 times, I think, during the race, and it was deep and it was cold. And you always want to cross where the water's rippling, because then you know it's not a deep hole underneath the water.
This one looks a little bit more like a river today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. I can remember wheeling across this creek in races before, but not today. Even the farmers' fields were real muddy and soft.
Some of the spectators do a lot of work to prepare for the riders. Here comes the first one through this section. You can see there's a little narrow creek here, and as soon as this guy gets out of this rut here and gets into the creek, you can see the creek's not very deep. It's flowing pretty fast. It's really very easy. But people were sort of scared of water by then, I think, so a lot of them decided to go into this mud hole over here, which our spectator friends were more than happy to oblige.
Lots of water today. Gary Evans taking an alternate route around the creek.
Which in this case really didn't save any time.
No.
But you don't know ahead of time where the course is going to go, so it's just a gamble.
Right. And taking spectators' advice sometimes is a gamble, depending on whether they want to see you get stuck or see you get through.
Yeah, the spectators we had with us at this particular point are unique, maybe, to Greenville. They don't hesitate to route you the wrong way and get you stuck, but then they aren't afraid to jump in there and get wet and muddy to help you get out.
Right.
There they are back there in the trees. Now there's a buried log underneath the water there, and if you don't stay to their right, it's tricky to get through there.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than a wet log. You'll go down on your ear more times than you can count.
Especially when it's underwater and you can't even see it.
Right.
Right there.
Yep.
Of course, I don't think even that's as bad as the mud hole's getting.
No.
And the truth is, if you stay to the rider's right, like this guy does, you can see you get through there without hardly any problem at all.
Right.
Oops. Went a little bit wide on that turn.
Yeah, you have to look where you're going, too.
Well, that guy went a little bit to his left and he got hung up on that log.
I think a lot of riders were glad it wasn't raining. That's all we would have needed today.
You'd think they'd be tired of these mud holes by this time.
Well, as long as their motor's still running, they're more than willing to try to find another one. In the Greenville area, the woods are really flat and tight, and maneuvering between the trees is it's a trick because most people's handlebars are just a little too wide.
The spectators at Greenville really do get a big kick out of seeing people sink in a mud hole. So as a result, we run into what I would call a spectator credibility problem. Sometimes the spectator will tell you a good way to go, and the rider just simply will not believe them. Sometimes they have to be shown.
Here's a guy on his imaginary motorcycle pretending how easy it is to get through that water hole.
See? Of course, he hopped over that log that he knew about and the rider didn't.
I bet you these guys are afraid to jump in the bathtub after a week after this race. The sight of water probably will scare anybody.
This is not a very good place to have 32-inch wide handlebars because I think most of the trees are, what, 30 inches apart?
Yeah, they're usually just an inch or two narrower than your handlebars. Even when I go through this creek section, I'm doubting the spectator's advice.
These guys really enjoy dragging bikes out of the mud. You ever notice that?
Yeah, I do. I wonder what they do for a living.
Yeah, it's getting pretty soupy over there.
Yeah.
Watch, this guy is going to lose his boot here. You'll see when he steps out. There he goes. Whoops! There's his boot. I don't know how, but this guy's managed to stay fairly clean. You notice that?
Yeah. As the day goes on, it takes more and more people to pull your bike out due to the weight of the mud.
Oh, watch out here. This guy's a little bit wild. We got too many people going up the creek, so they decided to get those tree branches out of the way so that people could come around that corner faster and not have time to size up the creek, and they would see that mud hole and they'd just go straight into it.
Yeah. If I knew if the spectators were doing that, I think I'd charge after a couple of them too.
See, it works.
Yeah.
People are still starting to get wise to the creek, though. I think that mud hole's gotten just a little bit too big. Oh, wait a minute.
There's always room for one more bike. Here's Kirk Patel, finally got his bike up and working, and he's proceeding on with the course.
You know, he's not taking very good lines today, don't you think?
Yeah. I think he's wishing I never talked him in to ride this Enduro.
Well, this is coming out of that creek section. This was one of these water holes that it was very easy to ride around. But when you are out on the trail and you don't know where you're going, you follow the arrows. So the arrows run you right through that nice big water hole.
What riders forget is a lot of people who lay out the course are usually walking on foot and just putting arrows up on trees and not really thinking whether they can get through this section or not on a motorcycle.
See, everybody's figured out that the creek is the best way to go now.
I think when riders come out of this section, they're relieved to see dry land.
Yep, and they get to run down the road and throw off some of that mud, too.
And hopefully get back up on time.
Well, here's another checkpoint.
There's 60 miles out and 20 or 30 more miles to go. Seems like you've been on the bike forever.
This guy looks like he's picked up a little mud, Kirk.
Yeah. He looks like a happy camper.
I'll bet he's been following somebody for a long time.
He's probably finding out how much longer it is to the end of the race. And he's not in too much of a hurry to get in there.
Looks like they're heading into another typical wood section for Greenville.
Lots of water and lots of tight trees and always that mud.
And here they're coming out into another Greenville specialty, the plowed field.
Yeah, and you are glad when you're through. It's nothing but bouncing up and down and all that mud just sending you every which way but the way you want to go.
Don't forget the crisscross ruts, too.
Right.
That's really a typical scene at Greenville, isn't it?
Yep. Going across plowed fields and into the wood sections at the opposite end. This year's plowed fields seem to rob a lot of power. I noticed when I was going through them, my bike would start slowing down as the mud would start packing up on my tires and on the bike.
Can wear your legs out too, huh?
Yeah, if you don't have enough momentum, it's a long push.
I think it's going to take this guy a while to get across that field.
Yeah. Here's a guy, he's lots of momentum and standing up, and he's trying to keep his speed up. And he's moving along pretty good. Sometimes it's good not to follow somebody else's rut, but try to crisscross the corn rows and to make your own path across the field.
Considering all the rain, this field's really in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
He's got a little front fender problem.
And he's keeping the bike moving. By this time, when most riders see a puddle, they don't even want to go through it unless they know it's less than 2 or 3 feet deep.
I got a little hang up on a vine here. Just trying to pull his gear shift lever off.
Right.
Guy looks a little bit tired, and he doesn't have any rear fender. And he's been getting a mud bath all afternoon.
Yeah. You can always tell a tough enduro when you go through the wood section a week or two later and find all kinds of goggles and plastic parts laying all over the place. Fortunately for the riders, we don't have to cross this river. We ride a trail along the bank there, but they had a nice little surprise for us. You think even almost this close to the end, there's the spectator, so you know there's something up. And there it is, a nice steep bank on the other side. And if you didn't hit it wide open, which this rider did, you had a lot of trouble getting up the bank.
These first riders don't seem to have any trouble with it, but you have to remember that anybody that got this far and is still out in the front of the pack is probably a pretty good rider.
Yeah, if you're doing this, get this far, then things are working for you that day, and you know, try not to make any mistakes and try to finish the run.
Of course, once the mud gets churned up real good at the bottom, it's going to be a little harder to get a good run at it.
Yeah, and they drag the mud up the side of the hill, which makes it slipperier once you start your ascent up the hill. At least he got his bike up on the top.
Really, this hill shouldn't be not much of a problem. They've got plenty of spectators to help out if you get stuck.
Yeah.
Of course, if you try to go around and take a shortcut, nobody will help you.
That's right. Spectators have no mercy for you if you try to cheat them out of a view. These early riders are all taking the same rut and the same line up the hill, and as the day goes on, that rut's just going to get deeper and deeper.
And you're starting to bog down a little bit at the bottom.
Right.
Yep. You can see it is a fairly steep hill, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. This rider doesn't care about him. He just wants his bike up on top of the hill.
Now, he went up at an angle, which makes the grade not quite as steep.
Right.
That was pretty good.
Plus, he was trying to stay out of the same path everybody else was taking. There's a spectator casualty.
Looks like there's lots of advice available.
Yeah, it's whose advice do you trust? That might be Rick Tong climbing up on a DR350.
Here he is again from another angle. Whoa! Can't even get to the hill.
Nope.
What do you think about trying to go up with no run at it?
I don't think it's going to work on a day like today. You need momentum.
Pretty slick turn there.
Yeah. Well, they're flipping their bikes left and right today.
Now, that's a real steep line right there. Not too many people tried to go that way.
Yeah. I don't think at this point too many riders care what happens to their bike as long as they can finish.
Now, this is less than a mile from the end. Not getting a very good run at it.
No, I don't think he can decide what line to take. He just keeps riding around and around.
Just sort of going around in circles. There's a guy with no front fender.
Everyone else can make it. This guy should be able to make it.
Just needs a little bit of conviction, I think.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
Not enough momentum and not a very good line.
Yeah. Sometimes if you don't think you're going to make the hill before you try it, this is what happens. You have to look at the top and be convinced that you're going to make it. And if you look where you want to go, sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, from where he's sitting, I don't think that no matter how hard he looks at it, he's going to make it from there.
No, he's going to have to back up and try it again. But this is 70 or 80 miles out and you're really tired and all you want to do is get back to your truck. And then to come up against another obstacle this late in the race kind of takes the will out of a lot of people.
I think he's figured out that he needs to get a run at it.
Yeah.
Right over the top. You can see it's getting dug out a lot worse at the bottom now.
Yeah. Riders aren't even making it across the puddle now.
From this angle, you can see how steep that hill really is.
It's nothing worse than being a rider and having about 20 or 30 spectators watch you as you try to climb a hill. By this time the riders are trained. Whenever they get stuck, they just sit and wait for the spectators to come and help them pull their bike. Oh, there I am, and my bike doesn't look brand new anymore, but I did make it up the hill.
Yeah, you didn't get bogged down in that last puddle like a lot of them.
I think having a good mud tire today really helped me out.
You always start out with a fresh rear tire for this run, don't you?
Yeah, it's a ritual. I live close enough to the area to know that when it's Greenville time, it's time to put a new tire on the bike, front and rear. A lot of racers, when they come here, this is the last race they will have for the year, and they may try to squeeze one more ride out of the tires that they have, and that usually doesn't pay off.
Like today, what's one more little splash, right?
Yeah. I know I was wet to the bone. I was didn't take long to get wet, and you stayed wet all day long.
There's another get off. Getting rutted out pretty bad down there now.
Yeah. I don't think this guy realizes how much it's going to take him to push his bike up that hill.
If you can't make it more than halfway, the spectators don't want to help you either.
Nope.
Did you expect him to get up the hill that badly?
Badly? I think he done great. I think he done exceptionally well. Hey, after 70 miles of this, buddy, I'll tell you what, it's rough. If you got enough to get up that hill, you got it.
I think this is our friend with no rear fender. Yep, it sure is. He's been taking a mud shower for the last 50 miles.
He's probably pretty disgusted at this point.
I'll tell you, when your seat and rear end are that covered with mud, it's hard to even stay on the motorcycle. Well, this was a free added attraction. This is the first time I've ever seen anything quite like this. That was the second time that kid did that. Notice his front fork got a little bit bent. His front wheel's jammed against the frame now, and it won't push.
Yeah.
Even with all the ruts and everything, you can still make it over the top.
Yeah. You just have to have the determination to do it. After a long day, even trying to find a place to park your bike can be a trying experience.
Well, at least they're not frozen to you.
How'd you do today?
I finished, didn't over out, did real good, just kept moving. My handlebars were too wide and I felt that and the wood stuck.
How do you like your new bike?
Oh, I like it a lot. It's real good. It was one of them races.
Oh, that's the one I dropped all last year at the 42 just in that one check.
Glad it's over with.
You're glad it's over with. Why is that?
Because I was hating life out there for a little while. But they did a great job laying out the courses, well arrowed. A lot of deep water holes. I had water coming over my tank several times. And I think if a lot of people, if they would have just slowed down a little bit and got, took their time through the water holes, they wouldn't have watered out. I think a lot of people watered out today. And I was just out there kind of in survival mode, just wanted to make sure I'd finish. We'll see how I do later on.
They're pretty good. They're user-friendly once you get them on. They're smaller. The bigger boots catch on the kickstarter and the foot pegs and everything, but these boots must be a 1/4 of an inch smaller, and they slither right through the rocks and trees and stuff.
How did you do?
I had a real good ride until near the end, and I got stuck in some water, and my bike drowned out, and I had to change about 10 spark plugs, and on and on and on. So I houred out. I didn't win.
Eating out of the bag here, though?
And we're cheering Dave on. He stopped.
I know. I thought you were
I wanted something dirtiest motorcycle.
Well, how did it do? Did it wear out on you?
No, I broke my back fender off.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's muddy out there.
So how many did you get?
I don't know. They kept my score. I'm going to guess 50.
What else happened out there? How far did you make it?
I finished.
You did?
Yeah.
Good. Good.
Lots of water.
How did you have to change any spark plugs?
No. Drowned it out twice.
Oh, really? So you're pretty confident that you did pretty decent today?
No.
No.
Bad day. Got fence wound up my wheel. That's what tore my back fender off.
Well, they run through swamp areas, and they would have arrows on 2 trees with water on 25 feet each side of the tree. And you just, it's a pick your line and hope.
Was that behind the red barn you were talking about?
Who knows where.
Oh.
Towards the end, every patch of wood seemed like it was, had I been here before type.
Did you expect it to be that bad today?
Oh, I knew.
You did?
I knew it. I knew it would be bad, but I didn't have any problems. I got help one time, and then I just didn't have any problems. But engine just quit on me. I hope I didn't tear it up too bad. But I know I wasn't the only one.
Yeah. About what time did it finally quit on you again?
About 75 mile out. I guess I didn't miss anything last 10 mile though.
No, not right down there at this hill.
Yeah, when they stop, you can't get around them. So you think you're going to take one of these good lines, and you cut to the inside,
There's
and
a
there's
fence
one little
there.
hole in the fence.
Yeah.
And you get stopped by it.
Unbelievable. First guess.
This one I done a double loop because I seen the check and I was burning it. Somebody told me I had to go in, so I was on 6, so I had 7.
What'd you do on the first one? Burn it?
Yeah. And I watered out. It's 38 minutes, and I dropped it down to 31, 28. Screwed up there to 36, and then I just went to hell.
Well, it's all over except waiting for the scores and trophies, bringing down the curtain on yet another Treaty City Peace Pipe Enduro.
Be on this side.